What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Hope everybody had a great week. Let's close things off on a great note. And yes, we are talking hockey once again. We're going to be talking hockey all season long around this same time slot, 3 o'clock, 3:30 Eastern time. Today, we've got good friend Jeff Dawson joining me to talk NHL futures. We're going to talk conference winner. We're going to talk division winner. We're going to talk player futures. We're going to talk Stanley Cup futures. And we're going to take a look at how to build your portfolio, when to jump in, whether you're jumping in preseason, whether you're jumping in close to Christmas time, whether you're jumping in right before playoff time. We're going to talk all things NHL futures, maybe look at some of the teams that are favorited to win the Stanley Cup, the top 3 or 4 teams. And then we're also going to look at the teams that maybe a little bit of a longer shot, the 10 to 1s, the 15 to 1s, maybe the 20 to 1s that you might want to put in your pocket right now. I got a few player futures to look out for, but those are always tough sometimes with the injuries. Of course, we are betting NHL preseason, guys. And for those that are curious how we're doing so far, we're up 0.5 units. So, hey, we're not losing, but we're not winning a whole lot right now. We're just hanging out. And I'll tell you what, the preseason, the cuts are just starting, guys, right now. The teams are making their first cuts. So I believe over the next handful of days are where we're going to be able to make some real money in the NHL preseason. But you want to be careful. You want to make sure you're jumping on the right teams. And you also want to make sure you're not overexposing yourself too early in the season. So thanks to everybody for watching all these videos. But I'm excited to talk not about preseason today, guys, just about the futures here today. So without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Jeff Dawson. Jeff, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I was just checking the number. So glad to be here. So glad to end the week with you as we start the week on my channel. We end the week here and to talk hockey. I remember I got to say, about the same time, we brought up those pesky Rangers. We were spot on with them. We were talking out west, and we dove into the stars around, or I did actually, around the start of the year. But I think our eyes were spot on. I grabbed the Avs at 10 to 1 to win the Cup, 5 to 1 to win the West. Again, when you're trying to build this portfolio now, what you're trying to do is take advantage of numbers that you think might go the other way. So when we talked about the Avalanche at 10 to 1 and at 5 to 1 to win the West, I didn't, especially if they got off to a good start, that number's going to only do one thing and drop. So, kind of funny, in March I gave out the Tigers to make the playoffs, and then you should have seen the Trolls in April, May, June, July. Well, I don't see. Hey, Trolls, where are you? Where are you?
Well done.
I
Well
mean,
done.
Mr. Lucky circles back and time stamped March 29th. So again, what we're looking to do, again, these aren't 2, 3, 5, 10 unit plays. What it is building up that portfolio, keeping your eyes on the prize. So as we get closer to the playoffs, you might want to add, subtract, and it helps each round the closer you get to the Eastern Western Conference Finals, and of course the Stanley Cup Finals.
A great call on that Tigers, and I know a lot of the guys at the Wager Talk Detroit office are fired up right now about that, and you love to see it. I love to see that in baseball, Jeff. I love to see it in all sports. I just love to see parity. You want to see some different teams in the mix, right? I remember for a handful of years in the NBA, I mean, you could just fast forward the season, Warriors, Cavaliers finals. You kind of knew who it was going to be. So it's nice to see things a little bit mixed up. I want to give a shout out to Aaron here. He's tuning in live. First one to chime in the live chat. He's crushing it in the preseason on the team. Hitting both games that went to overtime. The overtime is such a crapshoot, Aaron. So hats off to you. Some of us don't have that fortune when it goes to OT. It's just an absolute coin flip at that point. But guys, as Jeff was talking about there, building your portfolio with futures, you're putting down some bets today that you might not think will be available tomorrow. And it's part of the reason why I'm a big fan of putting in NHL futures around Christmas time, because after a few months of getting to see certain teams, you can either A, say, you know what, I'm impressed by this team, I'm buying in, or B, this team is having such a slow start, I have to buy low at this number, and you jump in. Nothing will ever, I don't think, replicate the St. Louis Blues, which happened a handful of years ago when they were dead last pretty much in New Year's, and then they ended up winning the Stanley Cup. But trying to bet those good numbers. So
against two, Andrew?
Yeah, exactly. We won't mention that. We will not mention that. We got too many trophies right behind you, though, so I think you guys are doing all right over there in Boston. But let's talk about the fact that in the NHL, Jeff, it seems like you have to go through it. You have to go through the tough times in order to come back. We've seen Tampa, when they won the Stanley Cup finally, they got swept by Columbus in the playoffs during the COVID year. Washington, with Ovechkin, they lost many times. There's so many of these teams. Of course, Florida being last year, they went through it many times. The Vegas Golden Knights even, they didn't have much of a downfall when they came into the league, but they were right there in the mix. They lost to Washington, and then, of course, they end up winning the Stanley Cup a few years later. So teams have to go through it. So we'll start with the bigger picture and then work our way back. Stanley Cup future-wise, Edmonton getting their hearts broken, forcing a Game 7, losing the 3 straight, that viral clips coming out about McDavid yelling, saying that he's not getting enough out of his team. Are they a team that we have to be on now? Because they're not going to have that slow start they had last year, I don't think, Jeff. They're hungry. And in some leagues, I feel like it's hard to go back-to-back to the Stanley Cup final. And I get it. NHL, it's a competitive league, but it seems a lot of times these days in hockey, Jeff, the teams that are there one year, they're winning it the next 2 or 3 years afterwards.
No, I couldn't have said it any better. And the fact of the matter is they had a good offseason. They actually paid some people. And the fact of the matter is they got the best player in hockey with McDavid. Their question mark has been goaltending. And again, with trade deadlines, the locals here are now at a standstill with Swayman. He wants 10, we want to give him 6. Is he going to take a bridge deal or whatever? My point is there's always deals to be made. So like the Avalanche last year, you nailed it. I just got off my phone with the Circa app here, and Oilers to win the West, plus 325, to win the Cup, plus 650. You have to buy now. Even if they started the year 1-9, that number will move a little, but the odds of you waiting and trying to say, well, I'm not going to take it. If it gets to 7 or 750, it probably not. So Oilers plus 650 to win the Cup. And again, you better, since you're going to grab that ticket, make sure you grab the plus 325 to win the West.
And you know what? That's how you know Circa knows what they're doing. I'm seeing at DraftKings 8-1 for the Oilers there. So shop around, guys. It's a good indicator. And we always say if you can't bet at a certain book, you can use that book as an indicator. And I definitely have no issues using Circa as an indicator because they're pretty smart. And yeah, Aaron agrees with you saying helps when you have the best player in the world. Of course, the Panthers, they're right behind them in the odds to go back-to-back. This is one thing about this Panthers team. They don't have that many money-hungry players on their team right now that just said, hey, we won the Cup, I want to get paid. A lot of their players, Jeff, were already settled on contracts. They had a few guys move, but the guys that were moved were depth pieces, not as much the top 5-6 players. So they're second. Dallas, Dallas is an interesting team for me because I've been liking them a lot lately, just very similarly to how I've liked the Carolina Hurricanes recently for a lot of the same reasons. But I think this is a big year for the Dallas Stars. I'm seeing 11-1 for them right now. The way I always describe the Dallas Stars is that they have that perfect mix of vets and youth. And when you have that, I think it sets you up perfectly for the playoffs when you've got guys like Wyatt Johnston, Rupe Hintz. Then you also have Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, Matt Duchene, and those type of guys. The question is, can they stay healthy? Can anybody stay healthy is the big thing in all playoffs. But that's a team that I think we have to play. If if you were to tell me right now, is it the Oilers or the Dallas Stars? If you were to give me one ticket to lay down on, I probably would say the Stars, just because I think that that's the number that might move the quickest. Um, you know, yeah, Stamkoven in the chat, but we're talking about here. But your thoughts there on the Stars coming into this season? I mean, I know you liked them last year.
I waited till January to buy in. I'm not waiting. It's like you have my blueprint right here, and I have three in the West. I technically have two in the East, and then I'll get to the third. Do I not? The price is too good to pass up, but the circus telling me I'm wasting my money on them this year. But the Stars only plus 540 to win the West, plus 1,200 to win the Cup. So when we were talking Oilers at 325, Stars are next at 540. So yes, I am buying Stars to win the West at 540, and the plus 1,200 to win the Cup. And there was a great prop at the Circa that you just put up. Calgary to make the playoffs, I think was like plus 340 or plus 360. We were talking all last year about when are they going to catch fire. Don't forget, 2 years ago, I was sitting in the Circa, and they were third or fourth on the board to win the Cup. And they
Yeah.
kind of faded into the sunset. And last year, they never caught fire. So great eyes there, Ice X there. I like that. I like that ticket. I think it was plus 340 or 360 to make the playoffs. Good eyes, Ice X.
That team is going to be interesting because one thing about them, nobody believes in them coming into this season, Jeff. And the teams in NHL, when nobody believes in you, you kind of come in with that house money mentality right now a little bit, you know. And this is coming from a Montreal Canadiens fan in a jam-packed Atlantic division that nobody believes they can do anything in. So I get it. I want to get a more long shot out of you, but I don't know if this one can classify it as. But the Avalanche, I mean, they're 13. How can we even call the Avalanche a long shot? I mean, they're at 13 to 1. I'm seeing, you know, again, we're trying to hit on some of the bigger teams here in the West and just overall, but 13 to 1. I mean, you give me some of Dallas, you give me some Colorado, and we try and find ways to make money with Edmonton. I feel like that number on Colorado added the right pieces, I think, in the offseason. They've got depth pieces, not really goal scorers, but the kind of like sandpaper players. What do you think about them? Because I know Nathan McKinnon isn't satisfied with just one Stanley Cup.
No, and I think them and there's a team in the East right around the same number, and actually the team in the East is plus 1,600 to win the Cup and around 800, and that's of course the Hurricanes. And the Canes have missed their window. I think there's some teams in the East that are going to regress. I think the Bruins are one of them. They were plus 3,000 at Circa. I actually think the Rangers, who were plus 850, might get some regression there. So I took it a step further. Not that I disrespect or I'm telling anyone don't buy the Avs now, because we were buying the Avs last year at this point. Plus 800 to win the West, plus 1,700. I'm going with Vancouver. I'm going with the Canucks, Andrew.
The Canucks, I mean, what a start for them last year, and then the way that they were able to keep that going towards the postseason. The goaltending for them is there. They've got strong defense, and they've got some snipers. And I like the way they play. They play the right way. They got the right coaching staff, and you know, when it comes down to it in the West, they're kind of like that Canadian team that's, I guess, the second option because they don't have McDavid, right? They don't have that big star. You know, they've got guys, of course, but they don't have that figure that everybody considers the best guy in Canada right now. So you got to love the Vancouver Canucks, and we saw glimpses of it. We saw flashes of what they're capable of. They're going to be a team that's going to be around for the next several years, knocking on the door. So hats off to them and their management. You got to love that price on that one, Jeff. That's a great price.
Yeah, and the sexy name out there, out in the West, that everyone has a ticket on. And I'm going to probably wait like I did with Dallas, and that's Nashville. I know a lot of experts. I know a lot of people in our lanes touting Nashville, and I'm not again disrespecting them at all. I think that's the public trendy pick out west this year is Nashville. I'm gonna sit and wait. I'm gonna watch for a while there. So again, I'm not poo-pooing anyone that wants some Nashville Predator tickets early. I'm gonna sit and wait and let that one simmer, Andrew.
I don't blame you one bit. I do not blame you one bit. If you were expecting me to come on here and say, you know what, they added 2-3 new pieces, they're going to win the Stanley Cup, I overreact to some things. I'm not going to overreact to that stuff because in hockey, it takes more than one or two. I do think, though, you got two guys with some chips on your shoulders. You know, Marchessault coming from Vegas. And, I mean, I don't know what the deal is over there in Vegas, Jeff, but their general manager pretty much thinks he's running an NBA team because he has no problem picking up a free agent here, spending the money here, saying, see you later to this guy. Like, Marchessault in an interview pretty much said he felt disrespected. Like, hey, we had enough with you. We appreciate what you did for us. See you later, you know. And same for Stamkos. It was a distraction all the past year and a half. Then he said, I'm not going to talk about contract stuff. I'm not going to sign it during the regular season. Well, how'd that work out for you, Steven? Because now you're on a different team. You didn't want to sign for that. And then they pretty much replace him with a younger version of himself, and that's Jake Gensel. And I'm not saying that he's the same player as Steven Stamkos is, but it's not like they didn't really get his replacement because Jake Gensel slotted right in. So I do agree. I think one of the more overhyped teams coming into the year is Nashville. The one thing I will say about the Nashville Predators, their power play is going to be immensely improved. I mean, it's going to be, if you have good goaltending and that helps your penalty kill, and then you've got a great power play with throwing Marchessault and Steven Stamkos out there shooting from his office, it's going to be good. How's the 5-on-5 going to work? When I look at the Nashville Predators, I look at speed. I don't see a lot of it. You know, I think they're still going to be a boring team. They are. I will die on this hill. The Nashville Predators are the New York Islanders of the Western Conference, and I will die on that hill. But I think they like playing kind of that lower scoring brand. They've got great goaltending. IceX says, yes, Bruins will regress, not drastically, but if we do miss the playoffs, it'll be just by a tad. Jeff, they added to their decor a lot, this Bruins team. Their decor looks dangerous, but their decor is not going to score all the goals. So I'm actually worried about goal scoring for the Bruins.
Charlie McAvoy has been a shell of himself now. I don't know if he was playing injured last year, but they added some beef. It looks like the big bad Bruins from the old days. And McAvoy says he looks like a midget out there compared to the rest of them. They got to figure out the Swayman thing. Obviously, Allmark is left the Garden. They brought someone in. I know you know his name. It's slipping me right now. Not that good. I put it that way.
For defense?
No, for a goalie for the Bruins.
Oh, Korpisalo.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
The thing with Swayman is, hey, he's great. He's fresh when he's playing 40, 45 games. But if you want, $8, $9, $10 million, you're playing 60, pal. And Korpisalo, who probably after 5 games will be just a corpse of himself, no pun intended there. So there'll be no huggy bears between, Swayman and Korpisalo there. But I just when I saw the number, and the Bruins have always been 5, 6, 7, 8th in the market, plus 700, plus 800, plus 900. When I saw the first number Circa put up at plus 3,000, it was alarming. I think some teams in the East got better. Again, it will be a fight. They always find a way to get into the playoffs. They always find a way to play the Leafs in the first round. It's going 7 games. And yeah. Speaking of the East here, again, I stayed away from the chalk. I'm kind of a public sexy pick. The Devils plus 1,100, plus 530 to win the East. And I'm going to ask you a personal question right now. Mm-hmm. Who wins first? Rory winning the Masters or the Leafs winning the East and the Cup? That's the question. I forgot to ask Cam again on Thursday. I have to take my Leafs plus 1100, plus 540 to win the East. It's happening soon. When, I don't know. Maybe I'll have no hair. Maybe I'll have a hearing aid. But it's kind of one of these. Listen, you're going to give me 1100 and 540 like the Avalanche last year. That number's not going to go up to 15, 1600. They have too much of an offense. They, like Edmonton, they need some help in the back end. They need some solid goaltending. So you're going to give me 1100, Jeffrey Benson at the Circa. I'm going to take it. You're going to give me plus 540 to win the East. I'm going to take it.
So they get rid of the GM finally 2 years ago, and then you get rid of the head coach last year. You add in a more rough and tough coach. You bring in some size. I think the Maple Leafs, Jeff, might be leading the preseason in fights. They're everybody's fighting on that team right now. They've got the top 5, 6 players, right? Then the bottom 6 guys are fighting for jobs. No pun intended there. They really are. And I think that it's going to take some time for them. So a lot of the things I used to say about this Leafs team, they're slowly starting to go away. The stuff that I used to say to my buddies that are Leaf fans, that they're not tough. And the only thing I'll say is this, and I know a lot of Leaf fans would agree with me, I don't think they have that success, Jeff, until the Tavares contract is over. And this is the last year of Tavares' contract, of him making upwards of $11 million a year. He's not playing anymore like an $11 million guy. And so the biggest question from contract purposes is going to be, when his contract is up, what kind of discount, hometown discount, is he willing to take? They already took the captain, the C, off his chest. I've heard guys want him taking $2, $3, $4 million. I've been getting people going saying, hey, if you guys lose in the first round again, who's to say he even wants to stay in his hometown anymore? I think he does. But that's going to be one of those things. If you've got a guy, because that's always been the old adage about the Leafs, right? 4 guys making, 46% of the salary. You get Tavares down to $3 or $4 million, you're freeing up $7 or $8 million to spend on other guys, because even though he's a great player, they could just utilize that money elsewhere. Their defense has been great, though. They're tougher. I think they added a lot of key guys there. Their penalty kill needed to get better. There was like 23rd or 6th in the league. One of those two numbers. But they're a great regular season team, and I agree with you. They're going to be a team, Jeff, I think we're going to be betting more unders on. So when we're playing the Leafs, you mentioned this sometimes when we're talking about team totals, not just betting on a team's team totals, betting against that team they're playing and taking them under 2.5 goals plus money or something like that. I feel like that could be a viable option. As far as the Devils are concerned, you're right. I feel like right now it's like the two devils on your shoulders are the Nashville Predators and the New Jersey Devils, the two popular picks. I would say I'm more confident in the Devils than I am about the Predators. One thing, I was actually watching the Devils game the other day, a preseason game. They need to get tougher as well. If I'm going to talk about the Leafs not being tough, the Devils, this is going to sound like, I don't believe in them at all. If they were playing in non-contact, if this was non-contact hockey, they'd be winning the Stanley Cup this year. They are so good at whipping the puck around, the way that they can play, the skill that they have. They need their bottom 6 guys. They picked up Brendan Dillon. He's a defenseman, rock-solid defenseman. They already have Dougie Hamilton. They picked up a great goaltender, of course. So I'm looking forward to see how they play, but I think they're a team, like you said, that they're going to get off to a hot start. So if there's one team in the East that I'd recommend getting down on, I think it would be the Devils to win the Stanley Cup. Jeff, we'll close it out with this as far as the big picture. I think that this is my last year with the LA Kings. My last year with this LA Kings team. I mean, the problem with futures is that if I'm going to continue to get, 17, 18, 19, 20 to 1 on some of these teams, like, number one, if you're going to give me 20 to 1, the problem is the Oilers keep playing the Kings first round, and they own the Kings in the first round. If the Kings get anybody else, who knows what the story is. But, the good news is if you, let's say, get down, let's say you get down on an Avalanche 13 to 1, and you get down on the LA Kings at 22-1, and they play each other in the first round. Well, that's always nice as well. You know, we don't want to be like one of those people at the roulette board that's betting every single number on the board just to see the ball land on your number. But at the same time, if we bet it early enough in the year, we're going to get high enough odds that it's going to be worthy enough. If you can picture the playoff bracket in your head, then you can set yourself up for success in the first round, even no matter who wins a certain matchup. That's kind of a dream sometimes, right? You get two teams above 10-1 playing each other, you at least know one of your teams is going to advance.
And it was last year at the brackets. I think we really got screwed on the West, if I remember correctly, because I think Edmonton and Dallas were in the same bracket. And the good news was, well, you know, because you wanted the dream scenario where they face each other, the winner goes to the cup. Well, we didn't have that luck, but we did have, well, whoever wins that series is going to go to the Western Conference Finals, and they're going to be favored, and so that did help. But you're spot on again. If you got a 20-1 and 11-1, and again you're going to make it to the second round, it helps when you look at the series price in that round. Hey, I got an 11-1, and the Avs are actually, let's say Edmonton is facing the Avs and Edmonton's minus 200. Well, you can cover your future ticket and a little more on the Avs side without getting stung. Hey, if they ended up losing, well, I still made my money back, and I'm still on the plus side. So I did have a couple to make the playoffs for you. I figured if we're coming in, we're going to come strong here for you. Out west, the Kraken at plus 170 to make the playoffs. Utah plus 155 to make the playoffs. And this one I thought was kind of strange. The Wild minus 110 to make the playoffs.
That Wild team's going to be one of two ways. I think they need to take a big hump. I guess, what would you say? You know, Jeff, how when you send out your golf reports, you tell people based on the odds how to bet? You know what I mean? Would you say that's kind of how you could do it a little bit with those wagers? Like, I mean, I know they're not massive long shots, obviously, with those playoff ones, but even like a team like Utah, you know, being a little bit plus money compared to a Minnesota, because in my opinion, you look at Utah and Minnesota, both those teams aren't both making it. I think one of those teams would make it, right? So it's almost like you set it up as if, you know, if Utah doesn't make it, Minnesota's that team that's filling that wild card spot, because it's going to be wild card spots, right? But Utah, I like it, because let's not forget, Arizona was a team that was upsetting teams that were constantly undervalued, and I think the team realizes we're not a joke anymore. You know, we're playing in an actual arena now. We've got good players. Like, they actually feel like an NHL team for the first time. I like those any big underdog any big long shot in the East, or any ones in the East really that you would mention, some longer ones.
Well, in the East to make the playoffs, again, we were looking for some plus money, maybe some value. So instead of taking them to win the East or the West or to win the Cup, Sabres at plus 140. Red Wings at plus 160, and the Senators were at even money. Those were the teams in the East, just to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I really like that the Detroit one. I saw this video. It was Craig Button here in Canada, hockey analyst, and he goes, if you're the Buffalo Sabres or you're the Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens are close to you in the standings, you better hope, for the sake of your fan base, that Montreal doesn't finish ahead of either of you guys, because the rebuild for the Habs started a hell of a lot later than it did for both the Sens, Sabres, and even the Red Wings. So one thing about the Red Wings, though, is that I feel like Stevie Y and the Weiser plan there was a little bit rushed. They went out and got all these free agents. They've signed some bigger name guys, Tarasenko, Kane, older players. So if they don't have success soon, then they might have kind of rushed the rebuild by a certain. So with that indication, I think they're a really good future bet. Won't spend too much. Go ahead. Sorry.
If you want a long shot, and I'm rooting the hell out of this team, and I've been watching them try to build and rebuild for years. That's your Habs.
I'm excited. I'm excited. It's just a matter of can they put it all together in 1 year? You know, last year no second line center, Kirby Doc ACL injury, game 3, right? And then you've got Patrick Laine coming back. The question is, how many games will Laine and Doc and Newhook all play? That's the second line for the Canadians. They had an all right year as far as their scoring is concerned for their top players, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, and Caulfield. If they have actually a second line this year, it means the world for that team. So I'm excited to go into a game and not have to think if the best 3 players on this team don't score, how badly are we going to lose? And now with guys like Joshua Waugh, with Anderson on the third line, you know, the third line is not bad. Before, some of the guys on the third line were just as good as the second line. So it's nice to have that pecking order, Jeff, as who knows their role a little bit. Lane Hudson, someone that people around your area are very familiar with. He's 10-1 to win the Calder Trophy right now, which, of course, is the Rookie of the Year in the NHL. I'll tell you what, I think Macklin Celebrini, who's also played college in the greater Boston area, I think he's the winner of it. Of course, you've got Michkov, who's going to be great for Philadelphia. He's tied with 4-1. Michkov, Celebrini, Stankoven 6-1, and then Lane Hudson. Wow, he's 7-1. He was only 10-1. He was 10-1 like a couple days ago. But I think Celebrini wins that one. Going through it, the thing is, the way I look at it is this, Jeff. I think Michkov's going to be great, but I think that similar to how Bedard was last year with Chicago, San Jose is still going to be pretty bad. So this guy's already walking on the team as like the second or third most talented offensive player on the team. So because of that, I think it gives them a little bit of the clear edge. Some people might say, well, if they're going to get their asses kicked every game, though, it might not be the best for a future bet. But when he's the only guy that's going to be scoring, I think it might be a good opportunity to bet on him a little bit, right? So 4-1 for him. Lane Hudson, I just don't think 7-1 is enough to get me out of bed on that one. As much as I'm cheering for him, he is going to be getting power play minutes. It's just a matter of how many 5-on-5 minutes he's going to get. All right, we'll blast through just real quick the divisions, and then we'll let you get out of here and enjoy your weekend here. Starting with the Atlantic Division. I don't agree with Florida being where they are. I'm going to go on and I don't know how this is really a long shot, but plus 550 Tampa Bay Lightning win the division. I think that Florida is the clear cut. Like, the odds makers are right. They're the best team. But then you've got Toronto, Boston, and Tampa that are going to be battling it out. And then you've got the clear cut bottom 4 being Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal. I think it's clearly Florida, Toronto, Boston, Tampa that are like the top 4 teams. I think that Tampa Bay is being discredited in the market. I think they had some good trades they made. They still have Vasilevsky. So we'll see what ends up happening with this team. But I'm curious. I mean, look, the Leafs are plus 270, Lightning being plus 550. If we're playing the futures market, I'd be interested in that one. I know you like the Leafs there. Is it enough to take the plus 270 compared to the Panthers? Or would you stick with just the conference for that bet?
Well, I mean, the numbers break down perfectly. 1,100 for the Cup, 540 for the Eastern Conference. So if you're going to give me 270, I'll take the 270 as well. We're all in on the Leafs here.
All right. And in the Central, we already talked about Dallas and Colorado, Nashville, Winnipeg. For me, it would be Colorado as far as that number is concerned, just because they're not the favorite there. Plus 240, I like that one. I know you like Dallas quite a bit there. They're pretty much the same odds. Nashville, it's kind of interesting though, plus 350, but I don't think they're winning the division. If they go on a hot streak, they're going to have to go on a hot streak in the playoffs. I don't think it'll be in the regular season. Which team in the Metropolitan could challenge the Devils? Because, in my opinion, if you were to look at every division right now and say, pick one team that's the clear-cut team to win their division, I think it's the New Jersey Devils.
Well, I agree with you. And we were talking about your Habs. Here's another team that can't get out of their way. Just for poops and giggles here, what's the number on the Flyers?
The Flyers, I'm seeing 20-1 to win the Metropolitan Division. 20-1. They're going to make a lot of improvements, so that's a good bet. 20-1.
That's pizza with extra pepperoni and cheese, please.
I'll say one thing I've learned, Jeff. People say you can't learn stuff watching preseason, watch out for the unders on the Washington Capitals this year. They pick up Logan Thompson from Vegas. Logan Thompson they didn't want him anymore. They chose Aiden Hill over him. So they now have Charlie Lindgren, who was great last year, and they have Logan Thompson as well. So he's great. Yeah, watch out for them. The Hurricanes, I'm kind of fed up with that team. I'm fed up with the Hurricanes. They got Rod Brendamore, but there's only so many motivational speeches and guys that play 200-foot hockey. They don't have enough superstars. You hear me complaining and making fun of the teams that don't have enough depth. I feel like I talked like a broken record about that. They don't have enough stars when the game's on the line. I don't trust the Carolina Hurricanes to put the puck in the net when it's needed. Pacific Division, Oilers, Canucks, Knights, Kings. I mean, give me the Canucks all day long at 4-1 if we're gonna play something there. So for what it's worth, for the show's purpose here, guys, I'm gonna circle the Devils. I think Jeff agrees with me on that one. The Maple Leafs at that price is a good one. They could definitely challenge the Panthers. We'll see if they had that hangover. And I like that number on the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. And the Avalanche plus 240 for the Central Division. So much more time to jump into hockey stuff, Jeff, but it's nice to get you in the headspace, nice to be talking about hockey. I appreciate you coming on with the playoff futures as well to make or miss the playoffs. What's the comment that I wanted to go back to real quick? We had somebody talking about, I think it was about, oh yeah, here we go. Sabres will sweep the Devils in Prague. I just wanted to say, Isaacs, that is a bold, bold statement with how much hype this Devils team has. I think the Sabres are going to be a team, Jeff, that they could put up 5 goals and lose the game. They're going to be like that team in the MLB that has the great bats but no pitching. The Sabres have a good D-core, but their whole D-core loves to play offense. So they got to sit back. They're going to be involved in a lot of overs. So we'll watch out for that. But, Jeff, what's new with you guys over at ECSI? Do you have some futures that you're going to plan on sending out to clients, your best bets? Let people know what they can expect from you.
Yeah, we come on every Friday. I try to throw out a deal or two, trying to cross us with McInnis picks, Wager Talk, ECSI, and the ECSI VIPs. I talk about our $3 a day gym membership, a welcome to the family. If you head out to our website at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com, top right corner is plans and pricing. You scroll down there, you see $375 a month. Well, that's our retail price that's been there since January 1st, 2015, and January 1st, 2025, we will be starting our 10-year anniversary for our public service. So what we try to do is say, hey, we want you to join our team as well as Andrews. We look for long term, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month doesn't make a service. We're talking almost a full decade as January 1st comes here. So what we're trying to do is make it as simple as possible. What's the number that makes everyone move here? And so if you were to come on board for $99 a month, okay, October 1st is on Tuesday. So we got October, November, December. Okay, so that's 3 months. It's okay, that's $299, let's say. Okay, well, we don't want to leave you at the altar for January and the first 2 weeks of February for the Super Bowl. And then, of course, we start March Madness and all that good stuff, okay? So it's very simple. $299 gets you the rest of 2024, okay? And then we're going to give you not just January, not just to the Super Bowl. We're going to give you January, February on the house. And by then, you're going to want to know, what are we doing for the Conference Championship, March Madness, and, of course, the first pitch in baseball and the Masters. And if anyone's new and doesn't know anything about East Coast sports, 2017, we set the record. Something we'll never duplicate. We went on a 30-2 run in the conference championship and March Madness. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring you along slow here. 299 gets you the rest of 2024, and it also gets you 2 more free months, free January and February through the Super Bowl through February. So head on over to EC Sports Invest. That's where I am on Twitter. DM me, say, hey, I'm interested. How do I sign up? Or send us an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com.
Hardest working man in the business, doing shows all day long. Guys, if you want picks, you want an investment, long-term approach, send Jeff a message on social media. I'm excited to follow along with your college basketball. I know you do all kinds of sports, but I love following along with your team totals there in college basketball. And for me, guys, NHL preseason right now, plus the first month special, 149. So we're going to try and build that bankroll for the regular season with a few, 1%, 2% wagers, nothing crazy. Unless I see a spot I really do love with the preseason bets. But it's a great deal because a lot of you guys might not want to jump in right away, and I don't blame you. You want to test the waters, dip your toes in the waters, see what I'm all about. That 149 special is perfect. I got the head office to make that deal for me. I'm the only guy right now at the website doing preseason hockey. We're doing videos every day. We're breaking down games, and we're talking about the roster cuts and all that good stuff. So 149 gets you the first month of the regular season plus the remainder of the preseason. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you follow Jeff on X. Follow me on X as well. Wishing you all a great, profitable weekend. We'll see you on Monday on Jeff's channel.